Welcome to my channel, Outspoken Samantha. If you are new here, welcome. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're returning, welcome back. I truly appreciate your support. On my channel, I talk about current events, politics, news, anything that is going on that I think needs another opinion and another voice of logic, reason, and sanity. So please like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments below, share it with others, and also, like I said, be sure you are subscribed. Also, head on over to Rumble and find me there under Outspoken Samantha. In the event that YouTube decides I have violated their community standards, and chooses to kick me off their platform forever. That being said, let's get into today's topic. So there was yet another all-ages drag show in Texas, unfortunately. And you know, the thing is, my family and I moved from Colorado to Texas about 2 years ago, hoping to escape some of these crazier, more radical ideas, this insane acceptance of, just exposing kids to anything and everything else that comes with the radical left movement. We were hoping to kind of be in an area of more sanity, and granted, in a lot of ways we are, but there are still things happening here that just blow my mind. The fact that Texas is supposed to be this pillar of sanity and conservatism, and yet there are still things happening that our governor just doesn't seem to want to put his foot down on. So another all-ages drag show in Fort Worth, of all places. At this point, they're not even hiding that this is an all-ages event. In the process of, speaking at this event, and not myself, but the drag queen and some of the other attendees, the drag queen got up and talked about how this was, he was so glad that this was a safe space for children to be in. And of course, it really depends on what your definition of the word safe is, because if by safe you mean a dark room with no windows where adults are drinking alcohol and you're performing sexually in front of kids whose parents have been so brainwashed into believing that this is the new standard of tolerance and acceptance, that they're no longer protecting their children from this depravity, but actually walking their children right into the arms of it, then yes, this is probably the safest place on earth for children. So according to an article in the Post Millennial, it says Tulips Bar in Fort Worth, Texas hosted an event on Monday which included an all-ages drag show. The event, which attracted protesters outside the venue, was open to all ages, leading to calls from concerned parents that the event should not be held. Photos and video from during the show reveal that a drag queen exposed his crotch to children in the audience while encouraging them to give cash tips to the drag queens while waving trans flags.
For a little bit over $500 in performer tips for LGBTQ souls. This next entertainer is somewhat special. If y'all didn't know, I have my own drag family. I'm the mother of the House of Moon, and I have 7 lovely children. Yes, one of our new drag kids on the block. I'm 100% serious. This fire's lit under my ass. People trying to call us groomers and pedophiles and all these other nasty things.
Tulips began posting on social media about the Sips and Quips trivia and drag show hosted by Salem Moon on Sunday, scheduled for the following day. The venue's social media post sparked backlash from commenters who criticized the fact that the show was listed as an all-ages event. According to the Dallas Voice, Sips and Quips was previously a trivia show but became a benefit, with all proceeds going to a Fort Worth-based queer youth charity. In response to the social media response, Salem Moon posted an Instagram live video announcing plans to continue with the show and encouraging supporters to attend. You have grown adult men performing sexually in front of children, something that up until 5 minutes ago would have caused an uproar in all communities, because up until 5 minutes ago we all agreed that these things were inappropriate for children, and we all stood on common ground of protecting kids from it. But now that parents and adults have been groomed to accept this insanity, that this is how we teach love and acceptance to 7-year-olds, people who want to engage children in their sexual behaviors just now openly hold these events, proudly invite their kids to it, and then call themselves victims, when those of us that are still sane and still know that this is wrong expose it for what it is. They claim that opposition to this is about hate for drag queens and just hate for the LGBTQ community in general, which is just a blatant lie, because they conveniently fail to acknowledge and recognize the fact, the absolute indisputable undebatable fact that nobody is showing up to any other kind of drag event except for the ones that you are inviting children to. Nobody is standing outside of drag shows at clubs, at bars, at any other kind of event venue where you have adults only in attendance. Nobody cares. Nobody's protesting them. Nobody's trying to stop them. And nobody's trying to stop drag queens in general from living their lives. The only common denominator in where all of the protests are happening and all of the issue lies where you are inviting minor children to attend so you can dance in front of them, sexually provocatively take cash out of their hands, and groom them to believe that this is normal behavior. And then they perpetuate the continued lies that legislation that has been happening in several states across the country that ban minors from attending these shows is again targeted at drag shows in general, which again fails to acknowledge the fact that nobody's trying to shut down all drag shows, that none of these legislation, none of these bills, none of these laws are targeted at shutting down drag shows in general across the board, but only asking that you keep the previous standard that we all agreed on just up until a couple of years ago of only allowing adults to attend, people that are 18 and older, people that are not still just learning their ABCs or really haven't even been potty trained yet, that we really, just ask that you put a limit on that and save it for people that are old enough to at least, vote, drive a car, get a job, live on their own, that really are old enough to at least grasp what it is that is happening right in front of their faces. The only reason they would lie about these things is because they don't want those age limits in place. They want access to our children, just as predators across the board generally have. And I'm not saying that all drag queens are predators, or that all predators are drag queens. The two are not synonymous with each other, but people that want to behave this way in front of children generally have that common thread, because there are drag queens that have spoken out and said, we acknowledge that our content, that our material, and that our performances are not okay for children. We know that they should not be in the audience, and we can condemn our fellow queens who think that this is okay, and we ask that they stop inviting children into the audience because it is giving all of us a bad name. So thank you for those who have spoken out, and this is not an attempt to target the group in general across the board. This is really just to acknowledge the fact that there are people that are trying to lie because they want to hide their own intentions, their own personal depraved intentions that do not sweep across the board, that don't speak for everyone, but for theirs personally. And to me, it's not just the drag queens that are the problem, it's the parents, because this all rests at your doorstep. If you do not protect your child, then it is ultimately your fault. And when they come to you years from now, wondering why they are so screwed up, why they have no conscience, why they have no idea of boundaries, they are going to come to you, because anybody can hold any kind of event or show or try to target your child in some way. And if you are not only not stopping it and not standing in between them and that predatory behavior, they are not going to blame the predator, they are going to blame you. Just as we see in any instance where a child gets involved in violence or gang violence or a shooting or any of these things where we're looking at something that is completely out of the ordinary, out of our realm of thought process that involves a child, and immediately people's response is, where's the parents? Where were their parents? Why were their parents not stopping this? Why were they not involved? What was their role in this? What were they teaching? What were their behaviors in the home? What were they exposing their children to? What were they doing as far as neglect? Everything comes back to the parents. I want to talk about the grooming / predatory behavior for a minute, because some of us seem to really have forgotten what that looks like or what that means. But we all used to kind of have an understanding, because across the board, predatory people that wanted to have access to children for these perverse fantasies and perverse behavior, kind of behaved in the same way. So recently, Discovery Channel did a documentary on Jared Fogle. And if you remember who Jared Fogle was, he was the spokesperson for Subway for several years, I believe up until around 2010, 2011, when poop hit the fan and, it came out who he really was. But he was the spokesperson because he went from being really, really obese to eating sandwiches from the 6 grams of fat or less menu from Subway. I think that's what it is, or what it was called. And, somehow lost all of this weight, and then caught the attention of the media, caught the attention of Subway, and then they brought him on to be the spokesperson for this. In the process of being this famous spokesperson, he started the Jared Foundation, and I think this thing was meant to help support, health of children or healthy meals or promote healthy, I don't know exactly what it was for, because it ended up being a total fraud. But He also, in this spokespersonship in his fame, booked a lot of motivational speeches, specifically at middle schools, to talk about, being healthy as a kid, healthy diets, healthy habits, as if a guy that used to weigh 500 pounds and then suddenly switched to eating only Subway sandwiches would be an expert on being healthy, or on healthy diets for children, but whatever. In that process, he became friends with this guy named Russell Taylor. And Russell Taylor was, I think, running the Jared Foundation, and come to find out that both of them were major child predators. Russell Taylor was married to a woman named Angela. When they got married, Angela had 2 daughters of her own. So as I'm listening to this story, just kind of, as it's been revived a little bit, Russell Taylor and Angela were pretty sick and twisted individuals. And Russell would ask Angela's daughters about their friends. I think they were about middle school age, maybe a little bit, in the younger teenager age group. He would talk specifically about certain friends that they brought over and just ask really inappropriate questions. And to the girls, they kind of got used to this. They thought it was normal. And it wasn't until one of their friends, one of the daughters said to their friends that Russell was saying these things about them, that their friend's reaction in absolute horror to this helped the girls realize that this wasn't normal. So they had been groomed to believe that this kind of thing was acceptable, that it was totally fine. And it wasn't until they were outside of that bubble that they realized this is actually sick and twisted. Another part of the story is Jared Fogle himself. He caught the attention of a reporter named Rochelle Herman, and she caught wind of, I'm not going to go into the whole story, but she caught wind of, Jared's propensity for young girls, specifically in middle school. So she helped with the FBI investigation of getting him arrested. But it was over the course of several years where she had to get on the phone with him because he trusted her. And, she had to pretend that she was into the same things that he was and kind of encourage these conversations that were being recorded so that the FBI could gather evidence against him in order to be arrested. So during these phone calls, you can hear Rochelle just kind of, encouraging, egging him on it, if you will, and saying, well, how do you get these girls to agree to this? How do you engage them in this behavior? Like, what do you do? Trying to get him to open up. And I'm going to insert part of the phone call here, not a lot of it because it is pretty disturbing, but I do think that there are some important things to listen to how a predator goes about engaging in the people that they want to target, specifically young girls, and why they feel that this age group is so easy to target.
Well, kids are maturing faster nowadays.
I know, which I love. And that's why I think it's wonderful with you, is that you're able to get in early. You could totally, win them over, which is what I love.
Mm-hmm. You like that?
I do love that.
Will you tell me how to do that?
Just talk to them, just get to know them, just everything, and just, do a little touchy-feely things with them, make them feel good. And it's a little more touchy-feely, a little more touchy-feely, a little more touchy-feely. And it's that kind of stuff.
Yeah. What age seems to be the easiest?
I don't know. Early middle school is probably one of the best.
Yeah.
They don't know if they're coming or going. They're very much into exploring, and, it's just a matter of getting them on your side,
And that's what I'm just curious. I don't know how to do that. Just be friendly to them?
Yeah,
he gets in their space, and it's just kind of, it starts out with just a little bit of connection, a little bit of that breaking down the trust. And then before you know it, they believe that this interaction with this grown man and this grown adult is normal. And these predators will all tell you that this is about a slow exposure and slowly getting comfortable with them, slowly getting comfortable with kids, and making them feel like what you're doing is okay. Normalizing that closeness, normalizing, touching, normalizing, just more and more exposure until before you know it, it's just this full-blown sexual interaction. And the grooming is both mental and physical. It's a psychological grooming to break down their conscience that might have otherwise set up red flags, telling them that this is wrong. It's breaking down any ideas that they may have had that this is wrong, or any ideas that boundaries or having lines not to cross are even necessary. And what does that look like to you now? We were told for the longest time that these people just wanted to come into the school and just have a nice story time with our children, and that's it. And then it was they just want to dance on a school stage. They want to be, on stage performing and showing them a little bit of what they do. And then it was, hey, let's go to the park. Let's take this outside of the school setting and away from the teachers, and we'll invite the family. It's out in the open. Invite your parents is totally fine. And then it's like, well, how about let's go into a restaurant? We'll bring it back indoors or at a community center. But again, bring the family. And now it's bring your kids into a dark bar, have a few drinks yourselves, lower your protective radar as a parent, and now give your kids some cash, put them in the front row, and say nothing as I expose my crotch to them or wear a fake penis or fake breasts. You have to ask yourselves, is this even the end of it? And where do you draw the line? And where do you expect your kids to draw the line? You are grooming them to believe that a grown man exposing his crotch to them is the definition of safe. You are grooming them to believe that there's no line between adult behavior and child behavior. That whatever is fine for mommy and daddy is fine for their child. And any adult who is stupid enough to fall for this crap is stupid enough to believe that Christians and Republicans, insert targeted label here, are the problem. The people saying stop doing this, stop sexualizing your children, stop demoralizing them, and stop dehumanizing them, that we're the problem. Some of you have never heard the analogy of how you boil a frog, and it shows. So let me explain. How do you boil a frog? Do you turn on the water and put it on boil and drop the frog in? No, because they're going to jump out. You put the cold water in the pot, you put the frog in, they're nice and comfy, and then you slowly turn up the heat. And before you know it, that frog is boiled. They didn't even see it coming. They had no idea. They were comfy, and before they know it, they could not get out anymore. And I don't know if it's these specific drag queens that would cross those lines with your child that would, that they would finally end up to the boiling point with. But that's not the point. It's the fact that you have groomed your child mentally to believe that this is okay. So that, if they do come across a Russell Taylor or a Jared Fogle, that they won't know that these behaviors are not okay, that they won't know to protect themselves or know that they are in a bad position because you have erased all boundaries. You have erased all lines. Can you honestly look at a kid that is attending an event like this and say that they would have any idea when to stop certain behaviors, that they'd be able to stop anyone that entered their personal space and listen to their conscience telling them that this is not okay? I don't even blame the drag queens anymore. I don't blame them, because the only reason that these events are successful is because you keep bringing your kids to them. If they wanted to hold these events and said bring all of your kids, and every single parent said no, this is not okay, they would stop holding these events and they would continue on with their lives having the shows and the events that are for adults only. But it's you that is bringing them to them. It is you that has broken down these boundaries. It is you that has taught your child that there are no lines, that there's no need for safe space, that there's no need to protect themselves. It is you. It is not Christians. It is not Republicans. It is not people on the right that is causing the problem here. It is you. And I'm sorry that it hurts your feelings or makes you feel bad for us to call it out, but we are going to continue to do so until that light bulb goes back on, until you jump out of that pot that is almost to the boiling point, because it is going to get to the point where there is no return. And when your kid gets to be an adult, they're not going to come to me, they're not going to come to Christians, they're not going to come to Republicans, they're going to look at you, mom and dad, and say, why did you not stop this? Please like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Again, I ask that today be the day that you subscribe to my channel so you can help me to grow and hopefully to reach more people, again, that just need more logic, reason, and sanity in their lives. Hit the notification bell so you can be notified every time I post a video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.